Happy New Year, everybody. Thank you all so much for joining us for our first virtual Subs and Sandwiches webinar of 2023. Today, of course, we have with us Manhattan Construction. They are one of our corporate partners, and we're always excited when they're in our presence. I am Marshat Turner, Director of the Houston Minority Business Development Agency. Our Subs and Sandwiches is one of our signature programs, and we are delighted to welcome back our corporate partners from Manhattan today. During today's webinar, all attendees will be in listen-only mode, and we encourage you to type your questions in the chat as you think of them in an effort to maximize our time together. Of course, my team and I will start to ask the questions that you yourselves type into the chat as we come to that part of our day together. But again, please type them in the chat when you think of them, so we don't want to miss anything. Of course, I have my team with me today, and they are Ms. Jessica Vasquez, our program coordinator, Ms. Tanya McGilbert, our business advisor and client alumni engagement specialist, and Ms. Deirdre Sutton, our business advisor. So I am now going to turn it over to Mr. Andrew Halfin, who serves as the Director of Pre-Construction and Estimating for Manhattan. Andrew?
All right, thanks for that great introduction as usual. Appreciate being here this morning with y'all. We'll go ahead and jump into this. Do y'all have the presentation?
I haven't received the PowerPoint, but if you want, you can share your screen.
Okay, I sent it yesterday, but let me see if I can share my screen. 1 second.
I haven't received anything.
See if we can.
Okay. If not, you can send it to me.
Gotcha. I think I'm getting into it right now.
Oh, okay.
1 second.
Okay.
So, okay, so it's not gonna let me join on my computer. Let's see. And it's Jessica Vasquez. That's the email
Yes.
address? Okay.
Yes.
Let me email this to you real quick.
Yes. And you can just...
So as that is on its way, I'll just go ahead and jump in, and then when you get that presentation, we can pull that up. So my name is Andrew Halfin. I'm a Director of Pre-Construction with Manhattan here in our Houston office. For the agenda this morning, we're going to go through a little bit about the Manhattan Houston team, so you can put some faces with names, tell you a little bit about the history of Manhattan here in both Houston and across the region. We'll talk a little bit about the processes of bidding with us, so how we solicit bids, a little bit of information on our pre-qualification process. And then I'm going to run through some of our current projects that we have in the pipeline. Some of them are exciting. Some of them are actually out to bid right now that we are interested in participation on. And then the rest of them will be following through the rest of this year. And then we'll open it up for questions. I don't want to spend too much time here talking, just jabbering myself. We definitely want to open the floor and then get some of your questions answered. So the Manhattan team here in Houston, we are led by Jason Fuller. He is our Vice President of Pre-Construction. We have Raylina Browning, who is the Vice President of Pre-Construction for Manhattan here across the company. Lael Ellis is on the call with me. She is our Director of Community Relations and Inclusion. You have myself, pre-construction director. Here in our office, we have Melissa Boyd as our contract administrator. We also have two estimators, Joe Hernandez and Antonio Martinez. And then we have an electrical pre-construction manager, Julian Jolly. So a little bit about Manhattan as a company. We were founded in 1896. We're currently in our 126th year of business. It was kind of a not fun time to celebrate your 125th anniversary, but we did celebrate that during COVID, so we didn't have too much to do there. But it's exciting to be, now in our 126th year. We are a fifth generation family owned company. So we're still in the original founding family that started the company. And we've been here in Houston since 1942. So long history here in town, and are excited to obviously be working in Houston and continuing that. Jessica, did you get that presentation by chance?
Yes, I did. I did. I'm trying to upload it right now. You should
Okay.
Do you see it? Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
All right. So let's hop over to that Houston market sector slide. So here in the Houston market, we are primarily involved in educational construction, aviation. We'll talk about that a little bit here in a minute. Corporate commercial, we do some healthcare work. I think a lot of people are familiar with Manhattan construction from the sports world. So whether that be Reliance Stadium, Cowboys Stadium, the Rangers Stadium, or you have a cool project like that photo, partial to me, that's the Texas A&M Kyle Field. A pretty cool project we finished a couple years ago. We're actually out there right now doing some renovations for it. And then we also have a large presence in government work here in Houston. We're involved with both Harris County and the city of Houston on projects from time to time and have a long history with them as organizations. On the next slide, just hitting on a little bit of MWSBE participation. A lot of the projects, because they are government, have MWSBE goals. So here's a few examples. A-Leaf, that's a phenomenal project we just finished and had a grand opening with the city of Houston for A-Leaf neighborhood. Very exciting project that had a 28% goal, and we were able to hit that goal. We have a couple other examples on this slide of different projects here in Houston where we've been able to meet and often exceed project goals. So next slide, bidding with us. All of the projects that we have for bidding are posted on Building Connected, whether that's a lump sum bid or a CM at risk project. So just a quick highlight on the difference between those two delivery methods. When we're doing a lump sum bid, there's not going to be a bid form. It's just you send us your quote on your proposal letter, and those are typically emailed directly to us. But then when we're doing a CM at risk project, we use the bid form feature of Building Connected. You'll fill out your proposal on the website, and then we'll have the post-bid interviews and do selections. So next slide, our pre-qualification process. So whenever we're bringing new contractors on board, it's important to reach out to Melissa Boyd. She is our contract administrator here in Houston. The first thing you'll do when you're getting set up with us is sending her a W-9 that's dated within the last 6 months. Once you do that, she can get you set up in our pre-qual program, which is called TradeTap. It's a fairly common industry tool. You'll start submitting your financials, information, background, safety information, all of that. And then Melissa will get you going with that. On the next slide, we do have a couple important notes on pre-qualification. So any subcontractor that has an EMR rate above a 0.8 is subject to some additional submittal requirements. This isn't to say that you are excluded if you're above a 0.8. It's just that we need a little bit more information than just the numbers. All subcontractors do need to have an executed MGP with us. Again, that's something that Melissa will handle once you send her that initial W-9. Pre-qualification, I know it is frustrating. It does expire, so that is something that we do have to update from time to time. It's typically getting updated by project these days. On the next slide, please. All right, so this is a project. It is currently out to bid. It is a really cool project for Metro. This is going to be an approximately $75–80 million project. It is a 1 million square foot parking garage. So it's obviously one giant component, but there's also tons of site components. There's tons of opportunities, whether that be signage or ready mix or rebar. Tons of opportunities on this project. One key important point is that the project has an SBE goal, and that goal pretty much has to be met. We actually had a pre-solicitation meeting this morning with the owner for that project, and I'm trying to pull it up to you as I talk to you, but I'm pretty sure it's either 35. Yeah, so it's 35% SBE goal on that project. So if you are a certified SBE firm with Metro, we are definitely going to be wanting to talk to you about that project. That one is coming up and it's going to be pretty exciting. So again, bids are going to be due February 15th. We have solicitations out on Building Connected. But if you haven't gotten one and you want to be included on that project, definitely drop us a line and we'll get you an invite. On the next slide, we have a project I alluded to earlier. So we are currently out at Texas A&M doing some work at Kyle Field and in some of the adjacent buildings. A number of those projects were let last year, but we have one remaining project that's going to bid probably in March or April, and that's a 90,000 square foot academic building, which is directly adjacent to Kyle Field. So that's a $35–40 million project. On the next slide, and I do apologize, I don't have pretty pictures to go along with all of these. A couple of them are confidential, and a couple of them are in some fairly early design phases. The MD Anderson Central Services Center, this is probably around a $100 million project. 380,000 square foot building. It's going to include pharmacy components, sterile processing, food services, lab services, and general warehousing. So that project, we actually got kicked off a bit last year, but it's going to kick into full swing this year, and we'll probably be bidding it towards the end of this year. Next slide. I can't say too much about this project. It is a project for United Airlines. It's a technical facility. It's between $50 and $100 million project, and we will be starting construction likely on that by the end of this year, bidding sometime in the fall. Definitely more information to come on that project. And then the next slide for you. So this is a super exciting project for us. So if any of you are familiar or have flown out of Terminal B at the Bush Airport, you know it's a little old. It could use some love. So United Airlines is gonna be doing the love, and this is gonna be well over $1 billion program. It is split between two general contractors. So you can see on the screen, if you're logged into the presentation, you can see that all of the pretty much airside operations and the gate terminals are all going to be part of the Manhattan scope of work. There is another general contractor that many of you are probably familiar with. That's Clark Construction. They're going to be responsible for kind of the spine of this thing, which is the central processor, baggage handling, your security screening. All of that is that orange box that Clark is going to be responsible for. Again, this project is well over $1 billion. and there are going to be a lot of opportunities to partner up. I will say we are in the early phases of this project. The architect, we were selected in December. The architect was selected, I think, right at the beginning of this year, and we're actually having our first kickoff meeting this afternoon. So very early in the process of that project, but we are certainly going to be gearing up here in the next couple months. And, my guess is we'll have some early packages out to bid at the end of this year, but we'll be on the next Subs and Sandwiches call in 2024 talking about Terminal B again, and then hell, we'll probably be in 2025 talking about Terminal B again. So this is going to be a long project, but it's definitely one that we're super excited about. So the way I did these was kind of in order of, Metro is obviously out to bid right now. We definitely want your involvement in it. And then going down the list is as things push out a little bit more. So we'll go ahead and hop to the next slide. I tried to get through most of this fairly quickly because, like I said, we want to hear from y'all. We want to see your questions come in, and then we want to be able to talk to you about them. So I'll go ahead and open up the floor, and we can start talking about questions and hopefully getting you some answers.
Thank you so much, Andrew. We do appreciate that. I have a question myself before we open the floor.
Right.
How will you be reaching out to MBEs on the United Airlines project when you can say more about it?
Yeah, so we are going to, one of the awesome things about having Layla as part of our team is she helps me with the outreach side of things. And so we will likely be doing some meet and greets, some inclusion mixers, different events as we start to build out the list of subcontractors. And I will say an important note for that project, because it is split between us and Clark, we already have a commitment with Clark that we're going to be sharing sublist and sharing subcontractor information. So if you have already reached out to Clark, or if you reach out to us, we're going to immediately turn around and share that information with our partners to make sure that, that big project, if you reach out to one of us, you'll get included.
Okay, fantastic. Yeah, I figured Lael would be my point of contact on that, but just wanted to make sure that MBDA has the information so that we can also assist in disseminating it when it's available. Okay, I'm going to ask Tanya and Deirdre, can you all start going through the questions in the chat, please?
Here's a question. This is, do you have to be certified to work on these projects?
So that's a great question, and the answer is no. So on like the Metro projects that is currently out to bid, we do have that 35% SBE goal. That's a Metro goal. But if you aren't a certified firm, we still want your proposal, and we could likely, we could potentially work together. It's just that in the context of some of these requirements, it does certainly help if you can, be part of meeting that goal. And I will say on that subject, one of the things that we like to do with some of our subcontractors, and we did it on the A-Leaf project that I mentioned earlier, is, I'm thinking of one particular AV subcontractor who, she was a woman-owned business, but she wasn't certified with the city of Houston. And so when we wrote her contract, we made sure and put it in her contract that by the end of the project, she at least apply for City of Houston classification. And by the end of the project, she got it. So now on the next project that she bids on, she's a woman-owned business per the City of Houston. So we do like to work with subcontractors to kind of help them through that process. I know it can be a confusing thing, whether it's Metro or City of Houston or State of Texas Hub. There's a lot of acronyms in this business. And where we can help is educating about the specific project requirements. And maybe you don't meet them on this one, but we can help educate you on it. And then hopefully for the next one, you can be good to go.
Great, thank you. We have a question. Is the Metro project part of the Metro Next program?
I think so. There's a lot, I think we have a lot of acronyms. I think Metro has more acronyms than all of us combined. And they got a number of different programs going on. I've heard the Metro Next thing thrown around. All I know is that it's a big old project that they want us to bid on, and we are certainly bidding on it.
Okay, thank you.
Here's a question. Do you contract scaffolding services directly or through subcontractors only?
So good question. I would say that 99% of the time, we are including scaffolding through our trade partners. So if that's the waterproofing contractor or the mason, we are looking for them to procure those scaffolding services as part of their bids. Every once in a while, we will look at, temporary protection. Maybe that's a trash chute or a canopy structure to protect pedestrian walkways. We will sometimes solicit those directly, but I would say the predominant use case would be soliciting those through our subcontractors.
Okay, and if you could please repeat the insurance requirement for subcontractors, we had a question.
Okay, so subcontractor insurance requirements are typically by project. We do have some standard, I think it's 1 million, 3 million. Don't get me lying on insurance requirements. I will tell you they're specific to the project. And anytime we send out a solicitation, those project specific insurance requirements would be posted. So you don't have to worry about it at a global level. We would issue those per project.
Okay.
Andrew, is Manhattan open to working with new transportation suppliers that are MBE certified?
So a bit similar to the scaffolding question, we do not typically handle transportation directly. We have trucks that we have on lease agreement at a corporate level, but as far as material equipment handling, trucking and freight, that is something that we solicit through our subcontractor partners, and we don't typically take that on directly.
Okay.
Andrew, I have Melissa here in my office, so I'm going to get out of the seat and let her answer the question specifically about the insurance. We got to call in the expert.
Okay.
So, repeat the question for her related to insurance.
They wanted to know, what is the insurance requirements for subcontracting?
Okay, so I didn't bring any paperwork in here with me, so if I can wing this off the top of my head. So we require general liability, 2 million aggregate, 2 million per occurrence, auto, which is $1 million. We require umbrella or excess, 2 million per aggregate, 2 million per occurrence, and we require pollution, 2 million on that as well. And professional, if you have design involved, you would need to provide that. If you don't carry it, you can have whichever engineer is stamping your drawings, you can get a certificate.
Is that information available anywhere, or could we receive it?
Yeah, so like I mentioned earlier, anytime we do a solicitation through Building Connected, we do post our Exhibit C, which is the insurance requirements. And I will typically say, none of us know anything about insurance, so you just forward that to your insurance broker and tell them, I need insurance per these goofy Manhattan people. and they'll get you cooking on that.
Thank you. This one is, it says, "Good morning. Thank you for your time. We are recently created company focusing on power generation. Do we need to have past performance?"
So what I'm going to try and answer that as kind of a general statement. And I don't want to sound like a broken record, but we don't typically procure power services directly. But I will say, as kind of a general response to the question, when we see new companies forming, whether that be a roofing contractor or a masonry contractor or an electrician, they might have 0 years of, that company, but they can often highlight their experience previous to that company. So if you're a master electrician and you just started your own electrical company, I would want to hear from you that you have 15 years industry experience building, hospitals, academic buildings, whatever that may be, and use that to kind of help your resume and experience. Because I'll be honest, if you came to us and said, I'm a concrete company, but I never poured concrete before and I don't know much about it, that would make us a little nervous. But I'm sure if you're creating a company, you got some experience behind it. So that's what I would use to highlight.
I like that. Thank you.
Andrew, do you work with subcontractors who have revenues over $1 million?
Absolutely. Yeah. We both under and over. Some of the, I joke, some of the subcontractors we work with are actually larger than us. So that there's Baker Concrete. They're a big concrete company. I think they're bigger than us. There's a couple mechanical contractors that are national. They make, hundreds of millions of dollars a year. We certainly work with those people. But we work with firms, all the way down to, I actually recently wrote $1,000 subcontract agreement. So, everything in between, we write $50 million subcontracts, we write $1,000 subcontracts. So, everything in between.
Great. How does a certified supplier fit into your program?
So, when it comes to suppliers, whether that be, you might be a gypsum vendor or an insulation supplier or ready mix or, rebar or, there's a lot of stuff that gets supplied in our industry. That typically for us, it's super important. And we capture that participation through the sub-tier process. So if I have, let's just continue the drywall analogy. If we have a drywall contractor that might not be diverse themselves, they will often include diversity participation based on their suppliers. And so they send that information to me, whether that be Canalco or one of the other, insulation contractors, and they pass on that diversity participation information to us, and then we include that in our proposals to the client.
Okay. I do see a question. I think I can answer. It's just I got so many I can't. I just want to put it out there. They seem to be a SBE, MBE with some construction experience working through DFW Airport, and they wanted to know how to support you. And so I was just going to mention they should go through your registration process. Is there anything else you would suggest?
I would say to that contractor in specific, just pop me an email. My email's on the screen. We're actually doing some work out at DFW. And so I would, in that case, I would likely connect you with our Dallas team. So that actually brings up a great point. So here in Texas, we're split between our North Texas group in Dallas, and then here in Houston, serving this area. So we talk all the time, but we do operate fairly independent of each other. So I'll definitely hook you up with our team up there.
Okay.
Andrew, it appears that we're receiving a lot of questions about maybe services that you subcontract out. Is there some type of list or a place where we can direct individuals on learning more about the services that you contract or subcontract out yourself?
Gotcha. So I'll try and take a broad brush at it. So as a general contractor, we're soliciting bids for subcontractors that are typically, when you look at like the CSI or the master format construction divisions, it's O2, which is demolition, all the way through 33, 34, which is earthwork and utilities. So the easy way to think about it is we as a company, 90+% of the contracts we write are to people that wear hard hats, wear vests, gloves, and steel toe boots. So if you're involved in the building of buildings on construction sites, we would, either be contracting directly with you or having you as a tiered subcontractor on our projects. And I will say to that point, there are a number of tiered contractors that are on our master list that will never bid us directly. So I'll give you an example off the top of my head. There are a couple drywall suppliers that are on our list that I just leave them on there because they want to know when our projects are bidding, and then they can reach out to the contractors they typically work with. So we're more than happy to, for maybe the scaffolding supplier, I can put you on our masonry sub list. That way, anytime we have a project coming up, you get an invite. And that's not to say I need scaffolding as Manhattan, but that's to ping you to maybe reach out to your vendors and make sure you get them scaffolding quotes on that project. So definitely don't hesitate to reach out. We can get you on the list and see where it goes.
Okay. And having said that, which was great, there's a person in a staffing agency interested in how they fit in to your program. Is that part of your pre-qualification, or are they on a list?
Yeah, so the staffing, I would say that would be a little tricky. We don't typically use staffing firms. There might be one or two we call from time to time, but it's not a service that we typically use.
Mm-hmm.
Are there many more questions, Deirdre and Tanya?
It's kind of repeating and rephrased differently. I don't see anything that pops out as different. No.
Okay. Okay. Tanya, you? No?
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
checking the chat and I'm checking the questions and answers. So it's just a variation of what we talked about.
Well,
Maybe
I
this is a
would
new
say-
one. If you solicit through electrical and mechanical subs instead of purchasing direct, can we contact you or someone with your company to find out which ones to contact to make sure they receive our bid?
So that's a great question, and a question I like. So if you're an electrical vendor, I would say definitely reach out to us. I would typically say, I don't know, a couple days before the bid. If you talk to me like the day after we send out the invites, I'm not going to have a good idea of who's bidding. But if you wait till a couple days before the bid, either ping me an email, shoot me a text, give me a call, whatever, we can share notes. So if you tell me that, Bobby's Electrical is bidding, and I tell you that, yeah, I got Bobby on my list. I also got Susie and, Billy. So I love comparing notes on that stuff. So definitely don't hesitate to reach out if you just want to check, because the last thing we want is, you might have the best gear number, and you might not know all the electricians that I have pricing it. So definitely reach out in that kind of situation.
Right.
Andrew, do you have your own internal OSHA audits or auditing team, construction monitoring team?
Yeah, so all of our safety program, OSHA compliance is handled internally. We actually have here in Houston, I think 3 or 4 safety managers on our team, so that they handle all of that direct as Manhattan staff.
Right. And then we had varied questions about, their certification, how it applies. I just wanted to state for everyone that Manhattan registration process is for everyone. You don't have to be certified. They encourage certification. And when you're certified, you update your registration. Am I correct?
Yep.
Okay.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. This presentation will be made available to all of our registered participants. As Andrew has stated, the Manhattan team's contact information is on the screen. So I certainly invite you to screenshot it, take a photo, however it is you want to capture that information. We are always excited, again, to have Manhattan with us. And if there are no more questions, we will conclude this webinar for today. All righty, hearing none, we are again excited to partner with Manhattan. Thank you so much, Andrew, Leo, and the entire team. We do appreciate our partnership. Thank you so much to all of our attendees. And of course, I thank my staff greatly. I appreciate you all. Have a great day, everybody.